Hi, this is Lisa Guida. I'm the Director of Education here at the National Museum of Nuclear Science and History. Welcome to Nuclear Science Week Virtual. We hope you enjoy this series, and we look forward to seeing you in the museum.
Hi, this is Mr. Dave with the National Museum of Nuclear Science and History. Welcome to Nuclear Science Week Virtual. In this episode, we're going to talk to Jeff Mahn, and he is going to tell us how a nuclear reactor gives us electricity from nuclear fission. After that, we've got a hands-on thing you guys can do at home that'll teach you a little bit about just what is a half-life and what does it mean when you hear half-life. All right, so we're going to go to the museum. And here's Jeff.
Hi, my name is Jeff Mahn. I'm a retired nuclear engineer, and I've been asked to provide some information about the Super Phoenix model here that the museum acquired from the French. So I will do that, but to give you a little bit of background for me, I had in my career worked for a nuclear reactor design company, a nuclear reactor operating or nuclear plant operating company, an electric utility, and a nuclear service contractor. So I've had a varied and interesting career. I've been retired for 9 years now, and enjoying retirement. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about the Super Phoenix model, the Super Phoenix reactor was a French designed and built liquid metal fast breeder reactor. It was intended to generate electricity not only for commercial and residential use, but also to create more nuclear fuel than it actually used in creating the electricity. And so it was a fast breeder reactor as opposed to a thermal reactor, the kind of reactors that we have in the United States that generate electricity. We call them light water reactors. They're thermal reactors, meaning the neutrons, their neutron energy is in what we call the thermal range, meaning it's in thermal equilibrium. The neutrons are in thermal equilibrium with their surroundings. A fast reactor has a very much higher neutron energy spectrum, and because of that, you don't have to slow the neutrons down. The nuclear reactor core for a liquid metal fast breeder reactor is much smaller than for a thermal or light water reactor, which is one of the advantages. So they used liquid metal, in this case liquid sodium, for the coolant because it has a relatively low melting temperature and a very, very high boiling temperature. So they don't have to pressurize the coolant medium to keep it from boiling away, which we have to do with water. In our light water reactors, we have to operate them at very, very high pressures to keep the water subcooled as a liquid coolant. So in this particular model, the reactor core, you can see right here, it lights up when I press this button. The core is just that cylindrical part at the bottom sitting on that orange platform. And you can see the control rods sticking down into the core right there. They're connected to control rod drives at the top of the pressure vessel up there. And all of the orange part of the system, that tank, as well as the orange piping here, is the primary liquid sodium coolant loop. I can press this button here, and I don't know if you can see it, but the one orange loop is lit up here to show where the primary liquid sodium goes. So inside that tank, there are actually 4 primary sodium pumps that circulate the liquid sodium through that tank, and connected with each of those 4 sodium pumps are 2 intermediate heat exchangers. So the hot sodium comes up through the intermediate heat exchanger and transfers the heat from the primary liquid sodium to secondary loop of liquid sodium, which is the yellow piping here. And you can see there, this is one of that little red dot there. That is one of the 4 secondary liquid sodium pumps. and the yellow piping there is the secondary liquid sodium. The reason they have two liquid sodium loops is because of the fission that takes place in the reactor, all the neutrons that are available. Liquid sodium collects becomes radioactive when it absorbs a neutron, and so you've got plenty of radioactive sodium in the primary loop. So by transferring the heat from the primary liquid sodium to the secondary liquid sodium is just pure. It is not radioactive. And then finally, the secondary liquid sodium loop transfers its heat to a steam generator, which you won't be able to see in here, I'm sure, but there are 4 steam generators, one for each loop, where the liquid sodium transfers its heat to low pressure water, and as the water goes up through the steam generator, it boils and creates steam. And then the steam is directed to an auxiliary building over on the right, and again, there's one for each loop, containing a steam generator, an electrical generator, a steam turbine electrical generator set, where the electricity is created, and from there it goes to the switchyard and out to the grid. So again, the whole purpose of the nuclear reactor is to act as a heat source, primarily for boiling water to create steam that's then used in a conventional steam cycle to create electricity. So again, the primary loop is primarily that orange part. It's all within a tank there, and the primary sodium pumps and the intermediate heat exchangers are all inside that tank. And then the secondary sodium comes out through the yellow piping, goes over to the steam generator, transfers its heat, comes back, gets pumped back into the intermediate heat exchanger. So these are closed cooling loops for removing heat from fission of uranium-235, basically, in this first core. The equilibrium core will contain other fissionable isotopes as well, but the initial core is primarily uranium-235. And then, of course, there are all the other things that are associated with making this system work and keeping it working for long periods of time, usually 18 to 24 months before a nuclear reactor is refueled. This particular reactor can be fueled actually while it's online, which is why there's another orange section over on the left, which is where the new fuel is transferred into the primary coolant tank, primary liquid sodium tank, and the used fuel is transferred out. So they can actually refuel this reactor online. And like I said, a lot of this other stuff inside the containment building, which is this big circular building, cylindrical building, here, that's called the primary containment building, and it is designed so that anything that might happen inside the containment building that's abnormal or accidental, if you want to call it that, is totally contained within the containment building. There is no way for radiation of any kind to escape from this building to affect the public. And so that cylindrical building is basically steel reinforced concrete. That's probably about all that you can see in this model at the moment. And those are the primary parts of the operating system. The control rods are driven in and out of the core to control the power level, to shut the reactor down, start it up by control rod drives that are located on the top of the pressure vessel. And so they just drive the control rods in and out of the core. The control rods being neutron absorbing material, so that we can control the neutron population within the reactor core, and thereby control the power level of the core. As I said, this particular plant had 4 major coolant loops. There you can see the 3 secondary pumps there, and the 4th one would have been in this cutout here. Okay, and so each one of those coolant loops goes to a different or separate steam generator to generate the steam required for the steam turbine generator that will create the electricity.
Thank you, Jeff. That was awesome. Next up, we have a video that was done by myself and my wonderful assistant, my daughter Haley, that teaches you about what is a half-life and a hands-on thing you guys can do to do some half-life figuring on your own. Check it out. A little kind of game thing that you guys can play at home that involves some math, some science, some probability and statistics and other words like that she understands that I don't. Okay, so we're going to talk about the half-life of an isotope. Now, an isotope is an atom that the protons and neutrons are out of balance. And so it's trying to reach that balance, it's trying to reach a stable point, and it doesn't just go away, it will transmute into something else. Okay, now the half-life is when you say the half-life of this isotope is however many years, that would mean how long it takes for half of those atoms to decay. Okay. Now remember, when they decay, there's no creation or destruction of energy or mass, and so it will, instead of just going away, it'll transmute into another isotope. Cool?
Yep.
Yeah. Sound good so far?
Sounds good so far.
All right. If it sounds good so far, if she says it's good, it's good. So we're going to show you guys how to do a fun thing that has some stuff for the little guys and for the older guys. And we're going to show you a half-life kind of, like I said, kind of game demonstration. And we're going to use some Scrabble tiles. Okay. So I'm going to set this right over here. We have, in here, we have our Scrabble tiles. Now, a game of Scrabble comes with 100 tiles. So if you look on our little graph over here, you'll see that it goes 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 98. Okay? Now, 98 is because we have two of these that are blank on both sides, right? So we would end up with it in a poor spot at the end because these ones would never undergo decay. Exactly. Okay, so if you want to come up here with me, what we're going to do is we're going to show how that half-life works on our graph with these Scrabble tiles. Now, we're going to roll them out. We're going to put them out on the table here. And the ones that are face up
yes,
are going to be decay.
Letter up.
Okay. By face up, we mean the letter. Yeah. The ones that are letter up are going to be our ones that have decayed. The ones that are letter down are going to be our ones that remain.
Which is why those blank ones will give you a hard time.
Yeah, because we would roll forever. Yeah, because you'd have blank ones every single time. Yeah. Haley noticed that. Yeah, and really, she's like, Dad, we've rolled 100,000 times.
Okay, we're not that many times, but
a lot. Yeah. All right, so we're going to roll these out. Now, I have an extra little thing in here, the letter Z. Okay? Now, the Z, there's only one Z in a Scrabble game. Now, I put a little dot on the Z so we could find it a little bit easier. But an extra thing you can do with a little bit older guys, or even with the younger guys, is try and predict when any one tile is going to flip. And in this case, it's going to be our Z.
Yep.
So, when do you think our Z tile will flip? Or decay?
2.
2? All right, try 2. So, what her prediction is that on our second roll, our Z tile is going to decay. And that's trying to predict when at any time in a half-life, one of those atoms, or one of those isotopes, which is that out-of-balance atom, can decay. Okay? So come on up. You'll help me out. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready?
Shake them up.
Shake them up. Shake them up. There you go. Spread them out. Ooh, that was nice. All right. So our ones with the letters up, we're going to know have decayed. Okay? And so showing the half-life is showing about the lifespan of some of these atoms and other ones that are going to stick around a little bit. Okay? So we have our face down tiles. These ones are going to stay. And then we're going to count the ones that are going to have decayed. Okay? Now first, did our Z decay yet?
I have not seen it.
Okay, so our Z is still in place. Okay, so I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, which is half of 98. So now probabilities, statistics, things like that, it's pretty close. So if we had our 48, that'd be right underneath that 50. Now, one more tile and we would have had like exactly half, right?
We had 49.
We had 40. We did? Oh, I thought I said 48. Oh, cool. Yeah, so we had exactly half. I knew that the whole time. That's why she's here. Okay. Wow. Okay. That's why I do science stuff. She does the math stuff. All right, so here we go. Let's see. We'll roll them out. Yep. I can count. I can. All right, so our face down tiles are the ones that are going to remain. And our face-up tiles are the ones that decay. Now, did our Z tile decay yet?
Still no Z. So
It is still not decayed. I flipped that one over. So let's see how many decay this time. I'm going to start counting while you're separating them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay? Now, that's not exactly half. Because again, in that half-life, you're going to have ones that decay and ones that don't, but we're going to see how that turns into our nice little curve of a half-life in just a minute. Okay? Now, do we have our Z yet?
Still no Z.
Still no Z. Okay, so these ones that are up, I'm going to count these ones here that have flipped. Our Z has still not shown up, so I'm hoping it's still in there and it didn't fall on the floor. Yeah, okay, so 2, 4, 6, 7. So we got 7, okay? All right, here we go. I still don't have a Z. All right. So now we have 3, okay? I'm hoping that Z didn't fall on the floor. All right, so our Z is possibly making it down to these last 3, meaning trying to predict when any one atom is going to decay is really impossible. There's that whole there's a Schrodinger's cat demonstration that is involved this right here with that letter Z. Is that cat alive? Is that cat dead? Yeah, anyway. All right. My cat is actually hiding around the corner. You might see him in the back of this video. All right, so here we go. All right, let's see if that Z is still in there. We have 3 left. And oh, there is our Z. High five. We got our Z. Our Z is finally shown. 1 remaining. Okay, so on our graph there, we are down to 1. And it has decayed.
Cool.
There you go. Okay, so go ahead and graph that out. Start at that 98. And we can see that the half-life that is the half of those atoms, the time that half of those atoms take to decay, we can see, even with the weird... You might have just heard my cat on the video. He heard us talking about him. All right. Yeah, so that's Ray Cat. Yeah, anyway. Hi, Ray. So you can see that graph, even though our probability is huge, the graph kind of gives us that nice little curve anyway. And that's showing how they can predict the half-life of one of these isotopes. Okay? Remember, an isotope is an atom that is out of balance. Okay? Different protons and neutrons. Thank you, Haley. That was awesome. A big thanks again to Jeff for showing us all about a nuclear reactor. Thank you guys for joining us for Nuclear Science Week, and we hope to see you at the museum. Don't forget to wash your hands. Thank you for joining us for Nuclear Science Week. We hope to see you guys at the museum, and don't forget to wash your hands. Thank you for joining us at Nuclear Science Week Virtual. Thank you to Haley. Thank you to Jeff. And thank you to you guys for checking us out. And we hope to see you guys at the museum. And don't forget to wash your hands. Thank you for joining us for Nuclear Science Week Virtual. Big thanks to my daughter Haley. A big thanks to Jeff for showing us all about that nuclear reactor. And we hope to see you guys at the museum. And as I end everything that I ever do, don't forget to wash your hands.